Today we're talking about fan theories and some of Taylor's own words about what her song Fortnight might be about and who it could be about. Since Taylor Swift loves dropping hints almost as often as she releases albums, we're going to break this video into sections to make sense of it all. That said, let's start with the title. So fortnight is a common British term that refers to a 2-week period. Interestingly, 2 of Taylor's recent relationships were with English men, but we'll circle back to that later. In the song, fortnight might not strictly mean 2 weeks. Instead, it could symbolize a fleeting, honeymoon-like phase in a relationship. Another possibility is that it serves as a metaphor for the next chapter in Taylor's life following her Midnights album. Taylor previously described Midnights as,
"It's 13 stories of 13 sleepless nights throughout my life."
So fortnight could represent the 14th day, a fresh start. But for now, let's dive into the story behind the lyrics. The song opens with the protagonist having to be sent away to some kind of mental institution, a theme mirrored in the opening scene of the Fortnight music video. But ironically, the people who were supposed to take her away simply forgot. This lyric references being extremely emotionally unwell, but nobody noticing. This line also feels like a callback to Midnights. Specifically, the track Hits Different, where Taylor sings, "I heard you keep turning the door down the hallways that you keep in the door. Is it okay? Is it you? Or have they come to take me away?" The similarities between the lyrics on Fortnight and Hits Different suggest that Taylor picked up the Tortured Poets album in the same emotional state where she left off on Midnights. I was a functioning alcoholic to nobody smile. This line mirrors the sentiment of the opening lyric, suggesting a state of emotional distress that goes unnoticed by those around her. Fans generally interpret this lyric as representing a cry for help that gets ignored, ultimately leading to an even worse emotional state. She was a functioning alcoholic until nobody noticed, and now she is no longer functioning. It also echoes themes from the Midnights track Dear Reader, where Taylor sings, "These nights after hiding in plain sight, my book drink in my hand, just tears of a cursed man, to you for free." Both sets of lyrics echo the theme of crying out for help while hiding in plain sight, using alcohol as a way to mask emotions while revealing her struggles in moments of vulnerability. All of this to say, I hope you're okay, but you're the reason. And no one is to blame. What about your quiet treason? Here, Taylor might be serving up some sarcasm with the first line, initially wishing the person well but quickly pivoting to accuse them of treason. This fits perfectly with the song's overarching theme of an unbalanced narrator, consistent with the imagery of a psych ward. The album features many references to someone, we'll get into who later, promising forever and then leaving. On the same song where she sings, she ends with, like in the lyrics from other songs on the album, it seemed like 2 people would be together forever, but it didn't work out. In her track by track with Amazon Music, Taylor said, "I always imagined that Fortnight took place in this American town where the American dream you thought would happen to you didn't. You ended up not with the person that you loved, and now you just have to live with that every day, wondering what would have been, maybe seeing them out." The wife watering flowers is likely meant to highlight the stability of the new woman, while Taylor, the unhinged narrator, is angry and wants to kill her. All my mornings are Monday to stop in endless February. I took the miracle on from the effects were temporary. All of Taylor's mornings feel like the worst kind. February, being the shortest month, adds a clever twist when she calls it endless. a nod to how time drags on when you're stuck in heartbreak. The miracle move-on drug is a rebound, a classic attempt to mask the pain and move forward. The rest of the song repeats more of the same lyrics, following the pattern of loving someone but being unable to be with them. Then, in the final lines, the narrative takes a shift. Here, Taylor flips the script. She suggests that the other person might be just as stuck as she is, no matter how hard they try to move on. Even though they're ignoring her calls, nothing in their life seems to work because they're still emotionally tied to her. It's almost vengeful, as if she's wishing for their plans to fail until they finally admit the truth and reconnect. The mention of "move to Florida" is a nod to Florida, a track later on the album where Taylor uses Florida as a metaphorical escape. Now that we've picked apart the lyrics, let's tackle the age-old question. Who on earth is this song about? First, a little background on the events in Taylor's life prior to the release of the album. In February 2023, Taylor ended her 6-year relationship with Joe Alwyn. Shortly after, she had a brief, and now confirmed, fling with Matty Healy, lead singer of the 1975, which lasted about a month, before she finally entered her relationship with Travis Kelce. Now, some fans think Fortnight might be about Joe Alwyn. Why? The lyrics "All my mornings are Mondays stuck in an endless February" can be interpreted to reference her breakup with Joe, which happened in February. And after a 6-year relationship, taking a move-on drug would definitely feel necessary. However, many fans have pointed out that songs on the album seem to reference her 6-year relationship with Joe as a prison, such as on the song "Fresh Out the Slammer," and this is not the case with Fortnight.
Here's the faded blocks and ceilings in the shade of how he was feeling, but it's gonna be alright, I did my time.
Surprisingly, the poetry Swift released alongside the album gives us the main insight into her relationships. She writes, "Lovers spend years denying what's ill-fated, resentment rotting away, galaxies we created, tried wishing on comets, tried dimming the shine, tried to orbit his planet, some stars never align. And in one conversation I tore down the whole sky. Spring sprung forth with dazzling freedom hives, then a crash from the skylight bursting through, something old, someone hallowed, who told me he could be brand new. And so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, out of the slammer and into a tidal wave. And later, it was house and then cardiac arrest." Reading into these lines, we can infer that the relationship that she tried to save and then ended by tearing down the whole sky was with Joe Alwyn, which she refers to as the slammer. What followed afterwards was a heart-stopping, heart-wrenching love affair, which can only be interpreted as her romance with Matty Healy, who appeared right after her breakup and made her false promises. And so, the lyrics of Fortnight, which describe a brief fling or honeymoon phase, align perfectly with Taylor's short-lived relationship with Matty Healy. Fans have also picked up on some intriguing lyrical parallels. Take the lines from Fortnight, "I was a functioning alcoholic till nobody noticed my new aesthetic," which bear a striking resemblance to lyrics from the 1975 song The 1975. "You're making an aesthetic out of not doing well, and mine in all the bits of you you think you can sell." It doesn't stop there. The chorus of Fortnight, which mentions sweaters and the weather, draws comparisons to When We Are Together by the 1975. "You ask about the cows, wearing my sweater. It's something about the weather that makes them lie down. The only time I feel I might get better is when we are together." The overlap is hard to ignore, and the connections don't end with lyrics. Taylor and Matty both record at Electric Lady Studios in New York City, her literal backyard. They share mutual collaborators and friends, including Jack Antonoff, who works closely with Taylor, and Phoebe Bridgers, who collaborated with her on Nothing New and opened for her on the Eras Tour. This follows along with the main theme of the song. Two people who once thought they'd be together forever now find themselves making small talk in the studio. While the song may draw heavy inspiration from Taylor's relationship with Matty Healy, in order to understand the full story, we need to tackle the absolute final boss of this album, the Fortnight music video. First of all, the Fortnight music video carries an even more unethical number of references to Matty Healy than the lyrics.
Every similarity between Taylor Swift's Fortnight music video and the 1975 coming from a girl who knows way too much about Maddie Healy and Taylor Swift. And they cut to this scene of Taylor and Post Malone laying down on the ground looking at each other. On the 1975's last tour, Maddie often did this pose with his wax figure almost every night. And they are clearly dressed in the same outfit. The entire Fortnight music video gives very much part of the band music video. Not only are they wearing the same outfits that Maddie wears in the part of the band music video, but it's all shot in black and white. I mean, most of the 1975's music videos are shot in black and white. The lab coats was a dead giveaway. On the 1975's last tour, when the band's second leg of the tour started up, Maddie actually started wearing the lab coats with these glasses. Obviously, Post is wearing a lab coat with almost the same exact glasses. Why the hell did they have to include this black dog running in front of her, just like they did in part of the band?
Some fans even went as far as to say that it seems like Fortnight may have been written with Maddie due to all of the stylistic references, as well as the sound of the song being more similar to the sound of the 1975. Despite this, the music video doesn't seem to focus on Healy alone. Instead, it seems to span all three of Taylor's relationships with Joe, Maddie, and Travis. The video opens with Taylor chained to a bed in what seems to be a wedding dress, symbolism for feeling trapped in her 6-year relationship with Joe. Taylor then gets released from her shackles when she takes the move-on drug, or in other words, Maddie Healy. She wipes away her makeup and then the tattoos appear, which could represent the parts of herself she was hiding from Joe to please him, or the emotional scars she got from him. Next, we're taken to an office scene where Post Malone is clearly stepping in as Maddie Healy. The two of them typing on typewriters feels symbolic, possibly hinting at Taylor and Maddie writing songs about each other before they got together in 2023. And before you think this is too far-fetched, Taylor and Maddie had dating rumors circling back in 2014 and also worked on Midnights together. This twin flame energy is echoed later in the album on Down Bad when Taylor sings, "Like I lost my twin, what if I can't have him?" Post Malone's tattoos in this scene might symbolize Maddie's own emotional scars and baggage, the issues he carried into their relationship. Then comes the next pivotal moment. Taylor runs to Maddie, likely symbolizing their reunion after her breakup with Joe Alwyn. Interestingly, Post Malone no longer has tattoos in this scene. However, he is still wearing an outfit that resembles Maddie's signature style. This could signify Maddie trying to conceal his flaws, presenting a polished version of himself to her. But then comes the shift. Taylor's emotions flip from happiness to anger as she realizes that everything, the clean slate, the promises, was a facade. The next scene brings in Ethan Hawke and Josh Charles, two actors from Dead Poets Society, playing scientists who are running experiments on Taylor. Among them is Post Malone, back in his lab coat, and this time his tattoos have returned since his flaws are out in the open. This scene perfectly mirrors lyrics from Down Bad, in which she sings,
Did you really pick me up? In a cloud of sparkling dust. Just took 2 experiments on. Tell me I was the chosen one.
Post Malone saving her from the experiments and therefore from himself mirrors the line, "How dare you think it's romantic, leaving me safe and stranded?" In the next scene, Taylor has a meltdown with everything burning into flames, symbolizing her expectations and dreams of both of her past relationships. In the final scene with Taylor on top of the phone booth, Post Malone seems to switch character and outfit to represent Travis instead. Post Malone in the phone booth in the middle of nowhere likely represents Travis being the only one trying to reach out to Taylor while she is still processing her emotions out in the rain. But then he steps out, extending a hand to her, literally and emotionally. Standing in the rain, he's there to weather the storm with her. When they hold hands, Taylor is wearing a bracelet that is similar to what Travis wears, and Post Malone is wearing a pinky ring, which Travis also wears. These are not nearly all of the things I have to say about Fortnight, but they are the most important. These are all just theories. As always, please feel free to start friendly fights in the comments below. I'll leave you with a quote from Taylor. "When I was writing the Fortnight music video, I wanted to show you the worlds I saw in my head that served as the backdrop for making this music. Pretty much everything in it is a metaphor or a reference to one corner of the album or another. For me, this video turned out to be the perfect visual representation of this record and the stories I tell in it.